without any further ado, let's go ahead and damn posse's. Yeah, they were gonna be looking sweet, dude. All right, so well, this is a good jam. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our ETFs here this morning, everybody. And did you just drink out of a jar of spaghetti sauce? Yeah, crack attacky. In order for me to get the nutrients that I need, I blend most of my food up with spaghetti sauce. Um, my teeth are actually made out of clay, like a dreidel. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Anyway, uh, that's a funny cut. No, it's just a glass cup, my boy. Anyway, so overnight, guys, we did see a major gap down, and if you were with me last night, we did take a look at the Trump speech, and of course, that seemed to be the catalyst for continuation to the downside since that speech. Price has just been stair stepping down, obviously, for the open. Um, if I could ever pull this up, hold on one second. Okay, Jesus Christ. All right. Just trying to pull up my news. Hold on one second. Where's my morning news call? Oh, I already have it. All right. So really quickly, just to go ahead, it's where he spits all his sins. That's funny. So a couple of things here before the bell, guys. Kind of get you caught up on, again, what happened overnight. U.S. stock futures advanced. As I say, advanced. Am I reading the wrong damn day? April. Oh yeah, I am reading the damn. Oh, they didn't send me one. Well, that sucks. Yeah, they sent me the. I don't have a new one. All right. So anyway, Trump is saying basically that the war in Iran is going to be over. I'm not really sure if traders believe him. A couple of other major hairlines, headlines: global diesel scrambles and ships on extreme routes. So surging fuel prices from Iran are forcing traders into usually long and costly shipping routes. Iran warns of total response as U.S. builds forces. So apparently they've only been giving it a half crack. Um, they also stated that no enemy must escape if they attempt to carry out a ground operation. That's pretty damning. Hormuz uncertainty keeps oil prices high. So everything is pretty much the exact same as it was. Metal slides as war uncertainty shakes markets. Um, and other than that, guys, let's see. Japan decides to join UK in Hormuz talks. Russia For Russia, NATO is a hostile alliance. Kremlin on Trump's statement about Iran. If needed, Russia is ready to help contribute to resolving the Iran crisis. And that's about it. So, mm, got funded and blew it yesterday. Didn't know Trump was talking. Yeah, I was trading while he was talking. It was a pretty wild price action. So, obviously, we saw a pretty major gap down. Price has moved to a couple of lower frame floors on SPY as we sit right around that 644 level here this morning, same level that we've kind of bounced at before. And so if you are looking for any trades to the upside, it is good to obviously establish where price is likely or most likely to go up, and that today is going to be 648, which would be basically a break over that open or a candle push outside of that open. So if you decide to trade that, the target up ahead would be short lived unless you see continuation at 650. So not every gap has to get filled. And when a gap has lost or is, you're going to have to build. And this could be a reason why trading might be a little bit difficult today on the ETFs. So you can, again, test this theory and we'll see if typically the two ways, right? You build into the move and you break, or your price action is fast and strong enough to break over that and then build on top of it. So we would have to see an immediate scurry right back up to 650 and above, and that's where that gap fill could occur. But it is likely that you would be dealing with, if you're unable to do that, the level at 642.78 directly underneath you, which also serves as a very strong bounce level. So I'm not sure if there's going to be too much to play with, except for obviously day traders, or scalpers looking at filling up some empty space on this lower time frame. So just have your wits about you, have a game plan. You should start making that game plan now if you are going to be trading the ETFs. Is that a Green Goblin mask? Yes, that is a Green Goblin mask. And it doesn't turn on, but I can put it on, yes. How pricey is gas for you? I filled up yesterday or day before yesterday, and it was like $84. It's pretty expensive for what I usually pay for gas. All right, so QQQ, this I grabbed 575 puts yesterday. Basically looking at the fact that we might see a gap down to that 24-hour level. We are below it. We didn't gap down underneath it, but we are below it here this morning. And again, it is good to establish what is above and what is below in order to nail down where price can likely reverse. That is all the way at 575. So there might be some day trading room available on the QQQ. We are, in my opinion, well, not opinion, but we are directly underneath this floor here at 573.80. That's one of the levels that would have to be recovered, including the 575.50. So if you're looking at a gap fill, what are we bouncing off of that's going to give us that? So with that being said, 568.90. And again, I have 575 puts. I am deep in the money, and I've got a bag awaiting thee. So I'm going to be taking, obviously, the majority of the profit off the table. All right, that's good trading. But because there is more empty space, I am going to, again, move down here, and I'm going to utilize this lower time frame hot dog water. All right. That's part of my green initiative. We're running on pure hot dog water right now. We'll be completely carbon neutral by 2023. Excuse me, that year already passed. 2027. Are you getting rid of them at open? Yeah. Not all of them though. So in order for this to go my way, obviously any sort of break or move over 575.30 would be a start to that potential break overhead. An official 573.50 break, and we will be reversing back up into the 574 and 574.75. So there is a day trade right here. Obviously, you got to make a plan and be able to nail that down. There's lower time frame assistance, obviously, if needed, 573.27 and 573.60 here, again, to break you back up into that empty space. But if these things are recovered and pushed through, obviously, I'm going to get out of my trade and maybe even look at a reversal. But I'm done, obviously, with trading the ETFs with any sort of volume or mass after a swing trade like this. What about all those gaps that we left down below on the ETFs so we never filled? Again, it's about an average daily range, man. They're only going to let the market fall so much. And if you take, a candle from over here, a big one, like this one right here, right? And you lay that down, you've already gone nearly that average, right? So there might be some more, again, down to that wick, which would be 568. But for me to call for a huge drop like that, dude, you might be tickling circuit breakers. What's up? Good morning. Who told you that? Did your own research? Okay. That's interesting. Love it. Peyton said that it's scientifically proven that if you tell your wife that she's a princess and that you love her so much that you'll do better on your trades. So I guess try that out. If you don't have a wife, just say that to the nearest lady that's near you, I guess, and see what happens. All right. Thank you guys for tapping the screen if you guys are on TikTok. All right, so that's our QQQ. Now, IWM, pretty gnarly gap down here, and I do think that there might be let's just get down to the brass tacks of this. This shit does not make a whole lot of sense. All right, we are deep inside, and it's probably best to focus on the most recent price action and kind of ignore all of this, right? Because there's a lot. That being said, you can't ignore this floor, which is the force 240-221. And if you're looking for continuation to the downside or any sort of market dump, that's where we need to go. That's where price needs to hit. Period. Point blank. My son keeps stealing my Spotify. Make up your mind, son. Which I love introducing my son to music, but boy, he be taking my music. All right. I'm not sure if we're going to see that much more selling pressure. I'm sure you'll see a leg down today, but I don't really see us losing too much more. Again, I'm not God. I don't have control over the stock market, but from what I can tell, there isn't any sort of catalyst damning enough for us to continue dumping like that. So, nah, the fuck is that? Let's do that one. Ah, if he can Trump pump the market, so be it. All right. So let's go down to the 1 hour, and you'll find yourself sitting on top of this range. And that's exactly what it is. It's a range, but it helps me. Why does it help me? Because it allows for me to lay down an area that price must recover in order to continue moving to the upside. It also allows for me to obviously look directly up above and see this points of contact. That's 246.60. So upon a reversal of 245 and a break over orb, that would be your first and most logical target to the upside, and what you have to break in order to see any sort of continuation to the upside, which would obviously lead us to that 248.55 box. And one thing that we can conclude about IWM is that it is quite literally, it almost seems like it's lagging a couple of weeks behind. And I'll bring up why. It looks like it's building this now. It already made its leg down before everybody else. It's gone sideways now with everybody else. So I just want to encourage those of you who have been waiting on IWM to kind of get back in gear. The time will be coming. Whether that obviously be up or down. And now that we got a nasty gap up to the upside, and we're nearing areas that, obviously are or have been the floor. And yeah, this is where we could see a pretty significant bounce, but that break of major range, right, which keeps us from being in trend, which is when it's easiest to swing, when it's easiest to take a day trade. Always easiest when you are inside of a and I know some of you guys swung puts. I'm not chastising you at all. It actually made sense to potentially swing puts with an overhead rejection at 252 on the 24-hour time frame. But just to put this, again, if we're unable to get above 245.50, I would be looking at the bottom of that range, which is going to be 242.24. So for anybody holding runners, maybe you can target that. Do you think premiums are going to be inflated on the puts and calls, or not that crazy? I think it'll be pretty high at the bell with a major move like this overnight. I think what's really going to be called into question today is like, well, here's this, right? Test the theory. Either we're building, right, or we have the volume at the bell. Otherwise, we're not going to completely reverse, without that build or without that first pop and build. And so if price kind of sits or dumps and then bounces and then just kind of, that's where I'm going to leave it alone, because I understand that we've gone over the daily average amount of price action to the downside. And at some point, right, with the dump here and then there, they're going to stop it at some point, otherwise shit gets weird. So You start to induce panic. All right. By the way, if D Train, if you are here, um, I tried this for the first time yesterday. You bought it for, I think it was you who bought this, the Marconi brand, hot gardenias. I'm sure if you're Italian, you could say the shit out of this. But thank you for this. It is one of the tastiest. I have it on my desk. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's so hot, but it's delicious. All right. Anyway, all right. So that's our three major ETFs here this morning, guys. Obviously, you got to make a decision on whether or not you want to include yourself in today's price action. Again, a gap down is obviously and can open up the opportunity, but in between these triggers, that's where things kind of get off limits to me. So don't blow your account. Try to, play every single move. Play the ones that matter. Obviously, the ones that tell you that price is going to keep moving in that opposite direction. Yeah, they are amazing. Chicago peppers. Yeah, they're delicious. All right, Rogue. You know what? Since you're making me put you in the bed, I'm going to show you the whole internet. Look at this big gargantuan. Look how big that cat is, dude. There you go. That's Big Chungus right there. Peyton's right, but on a deeper level, spiritually, women are built to receive and grow. Atomically, that's how our bodies are designed. We receive, see, create life, nurture life, and birth and miracles. So without whatever you give your wife, she will take and create, nurture, and birth in abundance. Well, I gave her $600 the other day, and I don't know about that. I was kidding. Yeah, yeah. All right. If you have anything you would like for me to take a look at, again, I'm pretty set. I'm pretty happy with obviously the fact that I'm deep in the money, at least for right now. On the cues, we'll wait as we get towards the bell. Again, I do see Tesla as something to keep an eye on. Obviously, with a gap down like that, if it bounces and rips, you could see some serious continuation. But the gap fill on that one is not too far away with a 375 recovery. AMD, which did gap down, is back on my radar for potential downside trades. However, with the gap fill all the way down to 193, I do expect for this one to attempt a break over its pre-market highs and possibly go and wick up to 208.66, maybe even, and that would likely mean that the Qs are trying to do the same thing. So, oh, that trading plan. I got you, Blake. DM me after I get off, so I remember. All right, let's see here. What do we got here this morning? Apple. So please let me know which direction you are looking at price to go. All right, because that's going to be important. Now, this is an example of something that has not fallen that much at the bell. It has not even really lost support or the support that it reclaimed over at 250, which is obviously a long ways away. But this could be a candidate for something that does move. Now you have a box directly up above you, and your pre-market high is separating you from your gap fill at 254.91. So there is a pop over 254 to that gap fill. That gap fill is cost basis. That cost basis breaking would give you a 256.60 high. And yes, if you're watching Apple, there is empty space above, but that would likely be because of a QQQ squeeze. And we are actually moving up for a gap fill. Now, to the downside, again, you can kind of see this floor right here is right around where we're attempting to hold price up. Rogue did that. I'll take a look at it. Um, but with that being said, there is, yeah, you know what? I would say right now, you're not even really sitting on anything. You're sitting here. So basically under 250, you really don't have anything to catch you. There could be a downside trade to 250.80. Not a bad setup there, but it'd be kind of sick if you popped and then faded. That would be preferred. Is it wrong to see your face in TikTok and then being in your Discord? Some people do that. Some people just want to see my face. I don't know what my face is not. Honestly, it'd probably scare me out of a trade if I'm being honest with you. Be like, hold on, I like your face. Okay. Levi for earnings. Okay, first question. Doesn't move a little bit decently from 24 down to 21, so not a huge decent. Eh, okay. I mean, these are halfway decent. I mean, they're not huge moves. I guess for Levi, they could be considered to be huge moves. But again, it comes down to the setup. Now, you do have a pretty cool channel here, and you're sitting on the floor. You have a downside target of 1628 if price was to fall. And I think it's pretty obvious that you have 2035 and, of course, the gap fill in 2160 directly to the upside. Personally, I'm not going to take something like this just because I know that the risk to reward isn't even that great to begin with, and it doesn't move typically strong enough. With supply chain issues and things like that, again, I'm not an expert on the fundamental side of things, but there is a possibility that you see more lows uh, with a punch down below 1768 and 1682 and 1628 to the downside. I like watching that sax pulls me right in. I'm getting pretty good at the saxophone, man. Starting to really sax it up, baby. All right, car. I'm pretty saxy. Okay, so you are sitting, it's not a bad gap down, honestly. It could be very easily filled. I'd be looking at a 164 bounce from the 24-hour time frame. Moving to the lower time frame, I would stand by that level as well at 164.23. The 2 hour would be the same. The 1 hour would be the same. So that level seems pretty tried and true. Not to mention, it's the only structure you have in the most recent price action. So everything is lined up exactly the way it should be. So be looking for a potential bounce off of that 164 to go fill your gap. Anything under 160 and you are in danger. So there is plenty of empty space up there, though. I think it's an Alto, or it might be tenor actually. I'm sorry. Oof. Okay, so you already know right now, right, that I'm not going to be able to. What? Hey, 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 hey! No fighting, Anakin. You don't slap your grandma in the face like that. What the hell's going on? Well, I'm sorry, you're just trying to chill in your basket, dude. The God's name, what's going on here? Oh. Whimsical robe, guitars, and a tenor sax. The guy's no class when he sees it. That's funny. Um, you know me, just classy, just so classy. All right, Johnny, brother John, come with me and let us say grace. All right, now you are sitting right there at 368. Now this is not a box. I think that's obvious. I think I might even be a little bit. No, we'll leave it like that. Um, okay, so that's your open at 362.35, and I would just because it's not a box, I would leave that as a potential target. But this is a candidate for. I mean, first of all, let me just start it off with this. You're stuck, right? You're in between what you need to break. This is where range could happen for sure. And honestly, if you're bullish, you probably want that to occur. There's also, again, that wide fluctuation in price, which builds a mouth. And a lot of the times, look how clean and nice that is. So you could be looking at a gap fill to the downside, but this is a read and react scenario based on A, the fact that you're still sitting on top of that floor. And then B, you need, now that we're on the hourly, you need 363.33 to the downside. And I would be looking, let's look at the 15. Yeah, it's all set up in front of you, brother. You've got a 365.70, 366, and then outside of that 366.31, you can attempt to go try and test that 368.18 in gap fill. So that is your potential upside. So these new generation cats have no respect. Yeah, yeah. Anakin's just don't fight it and keep shorting everything. I'm not fighting it. I'm not fighting nothing. I I'm taking profit on puts this morning, brother. All right. Let us continue. He says, "Shh, just let it happen." That's my kind of bear right there. That's my kind of bear. Shh. Let the panic set in, baby. All right. What exactly is that jar of sorcery? Rogue, stop over. All right, that's enough. You're clean. Good job. You did a good job. You're nice and clean. Bath time's over. Nope, you're going right back to it. Stop that. Okay. Shaking my damn desk, big back. All right, Netflix. I'm actually watching Netflix today. Obviously, I'm not being a sore loser. I just still see the opportunity to potentially go short on this one. Now, that might be ill-founded, but we're going to find out. Over the gap fill, you do have the 95.28. Preferably, you fill up 95.42, and then you get sucked back underneath 95. If that occurs, you left a pate box, right? Or at least the semblance of one directly underneath you. So it'd be kind of cool to see this thing pop and hit that overhead. However, you are sitting on this floor, clear, simple, and underneath you, you have empty space in 93.50. So there is a day trade. And listen, this is, if you look at the contracts, I know I go over a lot of stocks and some people are like, well, what are we trading, right? You got to make a decision on what looks good to you. So while I'm going through this and I say, well, yeah, there's empty space there, you go look at the contracts, right? Obviously, they're going to open up a little bit different, but go look at the contracts. Are contracts 3 to 4 steps out of the money in your price range? Yes? Cool, go for it. If it's not, move on and start making a plan. Picking and choosing what, okay, this fits my script. I like the empty space. I like the, okay, let's wait for the gap fill. If price moves up or obviously break underneath 94.20, those are things that you can incorporate. No tunnel vision. Yeah. All right. So I'll keep an eye on this one today. I think it's, again, set alerts where you can. So literally encapsulating that range. All right. Tesla down to 363. Sheesh. All right, Super Bear. I like it. But I have 360. I knew you were gonna fucking say something. Um, you gotta be careful around here. All right. So, is question, right? Has there been any major move on Tesla that has lost a 24-hour floor or more? Negative, right? We have not done either one of those. We are fully not encapsulated, but we are fully in the ranges from previous days price action. This oftentimes makes things more difficult to trade and means that you're likely going to have to move into this lower time frame to map things out. And that is true now. So we're going to go ahead and draw the range that's directly up above us. Our floor here is going to be basically the 375 area, which you would be looking for a higher time frame candle, or excuse me, a lower time frame candle close on 375 to get that gap fill or any semblance of the gap fill. To the downside, we're not very clear, right? I'm not seeing anything quite yet. Now I see what I need to see. So let's drop our range. And as per usual, right, the range has 50% mark is where we're bouncing. So you have a level and empty space underneath you to 365 today, right? With a Potter box leading you to cost basis, which would be around 364. So I could give you 364.30, but I'm a if this then that kind of person. And then you got to watch out for 367 as well. Now I'm focused on the most recent price action most of the time. So this is a beautiful picture, I guess, in some ways of what is above and what is below. Underneath 370.40, Watch for 368.27. It's not a box, it is a range. Hold on a second. I think I fucked up. I did. Yeah, so it's actually going to be, so this might make our job a little bit easier actually. So that 371.44 is a potential starter entry area for a reversal to the upside over 372.76. This is also a retest level that price can leg down to 369.90. If 369.90 breaks, I'd be looking at 368.21 and 367.50. Anything else is because the market overhead is obviously leading. Well, with Tesla, you don't really always have to have that, but bro, I got Tesla calls that expire on the 17th. There's a gap fill to the upside, but obviously this is where you got to map out what is above and what is below and, come to a conclusion on where this trade is going to be over for you. So I'll take a look at it in just a second. All right, INTC with a big pop. And again, you were leading directly into structure, so there's no guarantee on continuation. You did, however, close outside of the ranges, but not inside of the wicks. You had this overhead area of consolidation here, and you tapped cost basis. This morning, you have gapped down back underneath levels that sellers have previously controlled. As you can see here on the 4-hour, we are well underneath that. So that would be 47.50 and would be verifiably the first area to potentially retest once INTC can find a floor. But that's going to be the biggest question, is where the hell is INTC's floor? And across the board, it looks like it is going to be $45 in the most recent price action. Now, do you see any boxes? I certainly don't, but I do see just a little bit below that, 44.88. So that would be where I'd be looking at for a potential move to the downside. Let's see one other thing here. Okay, that's nothing really important. I'm gonna be honest with you. These setups, you're literally floating in space. And so everything that you do is going to have to be dictated off of your lower time frame structure. 5 minute small box, 5 minute small range, right? Clear floor, and that's about it, right? And you have your obviously your pre-market lows. So there is empty space. All right. Told you crash by the end of the week. Well, I shorted market yesterday, so I told me. All right. 575 puts on the Qs, baby. MU analysis. Listen, if you have, no, it's not kombucha. Please let me know which direction that you're looking at price going. Like, are you bullish? Are you bearish? What are you trying to accomplish here? Because otherwise, I'm not going to be able to really help you. Down. Okay, so you're definitely in range today, brother. So what happened? Because obviously structure is not super clear. So you had a punchback, you retested, tried to hold. Today you're sitting on the right around your old. See, this is where you can't really substitute or make exceptions. To be honest with you, man, this is a kind of you got a pretty clear, like obviously over 305.50 or 305 flat. That is your previous resistance. And I think that gives you a gap fill. I mean, that's simple. And that's 310. However, to the downside, yeah, you got to lose 296, 295.45. And how are you breaking in here, Anakin? Oh my God. 291.80. It's not a clear setup, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see any Potter boxes or anything of that nature. So this is all lower time frame setups. This being number one. Yeah, man. So 305.21 gap fill, and that could obviously put you back up to the upside. And then two, I'm telling you right now, bro, that's the most logical target to the downside underneath 298. That's where I see 293.50, but that right there is what you would have to lose that to see any sort of continuation. Uh, Let me know which way are you looking at trading? SNDK, bearish. Can I walk through why you picked up the QQQ short last night? Sure, give me a second. I'll go over it. All right, bearish on SNDK. I would tread lightly on this one, but it's not a bad setup, right? And I actually have had my eyes on SNDK for a potential punch down through this big ass range. It's a box that already got punched through, right? You pulled back, you punched through it. And so cost basis obviously doesn't promise anything more than the floor, which, again, we haven't really even gotten that. But the fact that we were up and now we gapped up to the overhead ceiling and then gapped down, that could be potentially bearish based on today's close. Can you bounce and gap fill and hold that gap fill is going to dictate whether or not SNDK continues moving to the upside. Now, let's solve this problem here, right? So you can kind of erase everything and focus on what's above and what's below. Okay. So separate. Okay. So I see on the 4 hour anyway, I see 329.80 directly underneath you. And I think the 2 hour backs that up as well. That's more than likely going to happen under 644.87 here this morning, and that is a pretty straightforward trade to the downside. However, that is a lot of structure that you're running into right now, so expecting this one to completely flush through without any sort of resistance, would be kind of naive. So 367.34 on the 1 hour time frame. Again, any sort of recovery is just going to be literally back over that 665.71. I would say even above 652.65. And the reason that I'm looking at the upside here is like, it would be nice if price popped, retested, and you get a squeeze out candle, and then that wick gets faded. So I do resell and stock, and I make 130K a month. You do stock? Nice. All right. Yeah, so 367.89 would be my price target for today on the downside. Anything back up above 666, and you're looking at a gap fill on SNDK. Bigger picture, though, again, there is a lot of empty space to the downside. So Alta to the upside, that's a little bearish. Yeah, so Alta, kind of similar to Elf. You get stuck in a range, you get trapped in there, and obviously that's what you have to break over. So this gap fill could be, or this gap down could be a blessing if you can go and gap fill and shoot past the overhead high, looking at the 553 target. But this does pin you basically back in range, right? So I would look at 525.17 to try to give you a bounce and gap fill. Anakin keeps breaking my door open. He won't stop. He's a fucking criminal, dude. Can you call the police? All right. What do I think? What do you think SNDK will close at today? I almost feel like it'll close right where it's at, but part of me feels like you'll see a box here. But so yeah, maybe between that 665, 620, or excuse me, what is that, 640? Yeah, yeah. All right. So remember, when a stock has already moved over its daily average overnight, you're playing with fire. All right, PLTR. So not a Potter box setup. I'm going to start saying that, I think. I think I needed to start doing that. Not a Potter box setup, but it is a retest. That's pretty cool, actually. It is a retest. Oh my God. That is diabolical. Okay, so you have box and box, and this is dictating PLTR's future movement, right? You retested the same floor that you broke, obviously after filling that empty space and gap to the downside. And now you're stuck in range, right? Big move down, big move up, and you can't break either. Oh boy, could be looking at PLTR in range if the market doesn't pick a overhead direction or overall direction. So I'm not going to call for anything more than lower time frame analysis as what is needed as priority here. Okay, so we had a box right here. You already punched through it. You fell back into it. So your overhead resistance for today will be 145 with a gap fill potential at 146. It does appear that there is also a pretty strong case to be made for some trend. So if that ends up being true, obviously, yes, you would be looking at a potential gap fill. Again, everybody, I am giving you higher time frame analysis. You must go down, and everybody can be doing this right now. Look at your pre-market. Where is your structure, right? Find your triggers. 143 on PLTR and over 143.35. You have an opportunity to try and gap fill. Tesla's dumping. Are we still dumping right now? Oh my God. All right, well, play's over. That's exactly what I fucking just said it was going to happen. The trade's over. What just happened though? Hold on. That feels yeah. Tesla Q1 to okay, so let me read this out for you guys. I'm surprised Astro hasn't. Tesla missed Q1 delivery expectations. They reported Q1 deliveries at 358,000 to 23 vehicles, estimated below estimates of 300,068 or Jesus Christ. Yeah, they actually didn't miss it. They actually didn't what, they missed it by 800 vehicles. Yeah, yeah, I think Tesla's over, guy. um so yeah, the Model 3 Y dominated output with let's see, 394K. Yeah, yeah, they hardly missed anything. I am still buying Rivian, while other models saw 13,775 produced with 16,130 delivered. The company also deployed 8.8 gigawatt of energy storage in the quarter. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Yeah, Q1 deliveries disappointed. I mean, yeah, I've seen worse delivery numbers on car companies. Well, yeah, of course, Rivian, the brand new kind of. Lucid's trash. You don't you don't start with a luxury vehicle. All right. Cool. So actually, in my opinion, Tesla just touched exactly what it needs to touch, right? That was this box and structure. So you've tapped that. So you could say today with some pretty high certainty that we could resume the upside above 368. The 367.20. Yeah, all of those levels wick. Cool. Tesla touched and you can touch me too. Oh my God. All right, what do we got here? BE, I have it up for the short term, down for okay, that's right. Yep. And you did a good job. You did a fucking bitching job, dude. Damn, dude. I could give you a big, juicy, succulent. Yeah, fuck it. Great job, dude. Proud of you because you did. You managed the shit out of this. You shorted it to the downside, then hedged yourself to the upside, made money on that side, and now it's gapping back down in the direction that you wanted it to be, which is that's Cold Stone Steve Austin right there. I love that shit. However, this is the birthplace. This is a nebula for range. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. You're going to look at the floor, see the candles bunched up right there, bam. And then same thing, but obviously we don't have that same structure, so we'll go to the 2 hour, bam. So your range is 119.80 and 135 or 450. Now this could be an opportunity to roll contracts depending on obviously what expiration you have if you feel like you might need a little bit more time. But I would be looking at a drop to 124.34 and 121.50 and 120.64. Now there is a gap down there. So focus on that little bastard right there. That's the big one. Oh, that's fire. That's fire. Okay. Okay. So overall, you made money on the upside and the downside, right? You did it. You did it, man. Right. But it is, yeah. Yeah. Right. So I would say that this is, yeah, got the precursor. When you get that big whip up and big whip down, a lot of the times that's future choppy price action. Unfortunately, that is oftentimes the case. And to expect a full reversal through this empty space to just die, obviously, would be market led. And I'm one where if I'm looking at breaking something, usually I'm going to have to build into it. So it very may well be uh, a birthplace, yes, for continuation to or rather more range. So yeah. So I think what I was mentioning earlier, like that there could be an opportunity to roll or re-enter based off of that range that you're given. So, all right, well, you stay away from my PP box, dude. All right. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Um, that's how I heard it. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I couldn't help it. All right. So good job on that one, Doe. I'm very proud. So yeah. Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So first off, 24 hours, right? Well, I am again always doing the what is above and what is below checklist. One of the first things that I saw yesterday is that we pinpoint tippity tap on the penny, tapped that stiff. Oh man, sorry, my toes are curling, getting a cramp. We tapped the same floor that I was aiming to break, and that is a classic retest. Usually, when you dump from a particular level, look where we start dumping. Bam. We hit that exact same price, and the way that you ripped to get to it is extremely difficult for price to continue moving through these levels when there is nothing without the proper catalyst, without the right conditions. With fear as high as it is right now, these levels are likely to be refused. There is not empty space directly up above you to aid you in a continuation journey, not to mention we go into yesterday. Yes, Trump's speech, did have something to do with that. But I figured you get a big, fast take profit, 3 days of dumping, 2 days of rippage. You retest the level that you broke in the first place. Price is going to react just like it would on the 1 minute, just like it would on the 5 minute. And so, looking at the 24-hour yesterday, this has gone far past where I anticipated. I figured that 575 would be a likely retest level, right? Where you move up, you hit a major 24-hour level that represents a shift in sentiment, right? To recover a floor like this would mean that things are okay or buyers are enthusiastic. Do buyers feel enthusiastic right now? Maybe yesterday, and that's what those days are supposed to make you feel like that's what's happening, right? Buyers are enthusiastic. You just ripped and rebalanced through empty space. So no, there is a very unlikely. So like even if you just get down to, well, what's your target up above? Your target would have been no more than 590. I think that's the target I actually gave yesterday. So I was playing a retest, basically speculating on the fact that this is quite simply ripped too fast and gone up to too major of a level that represents a recovery. And I just, again, based on the factors that we have on the table, and the news, the flip floppy news that we get every single day, I'm not buying it, and I don't think that investors are either, right? Or big institutions. So that's the reason that I decided to go short, was off of the major retest and lack of enthusiasm when we got there. You can see immediately, even yesterday on that lower time frame, that price, while it did try to recover briefly, its immediate reaction was to flush down and hit basically cost basis right in there. So I decided it was worth speculating on that 24-hour price target directly underneath me, and yeah, to look for some potential empty space beyond that. If you are in a range, if we're trapped inside of like yeah, if you were like in something like this, right? Then yeah, I wouldn't really take that large of, or look at it that. The reason, this is a unique place in price action where you do get 3 consecutive days of dumpage, you gap up onto a floor, and then this spurs profit taking, right? Profit taking then rolls into rebalancing and empty space getting filled, and this is just, in my opinion, mechanical. And we're not like, we're not, I did think that 575 would be the target, and that would keep us kind of locked up right here. But if you're stuck in a range, then typically I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to just play a retest. I might speculate on a rejections off of the overhead. um but yeah, if there's like big volume or big structure above or below, then I'd be less likely to take that. But the fact that we ripped up so fast, right, and built and moved through these levels so quickly, this is empty, that's empty, this is heavy, there's a high likelihood that we're not going to get that. So, yeah, man. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Five. Yeah. And that floor at the end of the day gets recovered. And that's where you look at what is above and what is below. There's still a box. There's still empty space. And by thunder, we fucking hit that. I mean, and this is what tickles me so much. Pause, is that price every single time the smallest little minute pocket of empty space will get tapped and react, and it's like wild to see. Not, not that I'm surprised, but it's just bam, you move up, you try and go for cost basis, you hit the root of the volume, and then and realistically, this is actually where the that's where the thick of it is. This right here is kind of overhead resistance, but yeah. So my theory was, this was too fast, too strong, and not in the right environment to see continuation. So why have I never? Yeah, I got you, brother. Why have I never noticed you have earrings? Because I don't wear them very often. All right. Um, what the fuck? Trump is playing 4D chess. Okay. Well, that's interesting. All right, what are we looking at? What do I think? I think it says war ends equals oil drops, inflation collapses, Powell out, Kevin Walsh cuts low. Yeah, cuts rates, liquidity floods into the economy, market. This is just people's sentiment right now. Interesting. Interesting, my boy. All right. Do you see continuation of the downside? It's hard to see continuation. I do see, yes, another potential leg down. We have empty space on the ETFs underneath us, but I'm not sure we're going to get like a waterfall. We already waterfalled. You just dumped on Tesla from 380 and you're all the way at 363, which look at that bounce. Oh, wee. What do I think about Sacre bleu? Uh, I think Tesla, if it punches through this box, will have a target of 359.98 or 360 to be more psychologically target based. That's what I think. But 366.21, I don't know if there's one V shapes though. So it'd be nice right here. Here, let me see if I can borrow something. Let me borrow your little channel there, buddy. Okay. Oof. You got a lot to recover here. 470s? Is that what you just said? Jesus Christ. When this floor gets recovered, dude, knock yourself out. But until then, I don't know. That's where I would feel way more confident. 1,000 miles an hour. Interesting. Oh, damn. It'll take a couple months to get the stock pumping, though. We'll see. We shall see, my boy. Yeah. Is anybody in oil? Longer expiration? I think I said this last night. I think I said over. Yeah, I felt like we gapped up and. All right, I'll look at you. Fine. Oh, Netflix. 922. All right, TikTok, tap your screen. If we can get to 45K, I'll stay on. It's a great time to be single and kidless. I'm not, I, that's just what somebody said. I'm not going to lie to you. It probably is. It is probably a having kids makes things more expensive. Now, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I can assume that, yeah, probably taking care of just yourself right now in this economy is probably a little bit easier than trying to take care of an entire family. That's just nature of things. Dating is expensive, kids are expensive, so you need a shot. Listen, you know what though? That's one thing I got to say about Peyton. is when she met me. No, either she knows investing more than I do, and she saw something in me that was worth investing in. Because when she met me, I had a mattress on the floor and a dresser and like four cats. Um, there probably even there might have been a chance there was none. I was a 19-year-old young man with who spent very little time at home. Um, maybe sometimes we're using a jacket. Just like shit. Um, I mean, dude, half the time, like, I would crash it. Like, I would just hang out at my homie's house, like, after, like, work and, like, dead ass crash on his couch. Like, I was all over the place back in the day. But straight up, if you're dating and, like, they're expecting fucking, a certain monetary standard in this day and age, you probably don't have a real one. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, it is 9:24. If you question my recruiting, just look at my wife. Your Discord and QQQ puts. Clint Torres. Oh my fucking god. Clint Torres. His name's Clint. Oh my god, dude. Yes, we're short. All right, I'll be right back, okay? Somebody's mic is open. Can't hear anything. All right. Really quickly before we get started here. Obviously, coming out of a swing trade, I don't have much to manage. If you are going, if especially those of you who are struggling, I'm here for at least an hour and a half. If you are going or planning to get into a trade and your brain's fried or something like that, I'm not into the hand holding thing, but I will help you if you're looking at a setup intraday and I'm still on here. So those of you on the Discord, make sure you speak up. Me and Manny were talking yesterday about lack of accountability being the reason that sometimes people can't be accountable for themselves. And so, it is sometimes good to have an eye in the sky to keep an eye, or be that. And that's what being, I mean, shit, even just posting content or posting your analysis, right, gives you some level of accountability. Um, but that right there is why a lot of people end up doing shit that they're not supposed to because nobody's there to answer. Nobody's going to tell you, "Oop, you did the wrong thing." And even if you know it's wrong, they'll do it anyway. And that's where you've got to either A, give yourself some level of accountability by using a trade tracking app, something that's going to show you what you're doing for real. And I've talked about trade tracking apps for probably 6, 8 months now, and I think one person has downloaded it. So, all right, did we? I wouldn't say we. You just can't bear to show me. You better send me your fucking trades right now, dude, or ban. All right, they're taking our trade. Damn, I was gonna try to long that fucker right up into that 575. You know, it'd be kind of sick though, is if they whap it and then dip it. But everything about my Discord is on the on my website. But please don't focus on being inside of my Discord. Obviously, yes, there's some advantages, the learning, trading with other people, being inside of this community. But the most important that I think thing that I have to offer is my strategy. And there's a lot of people who've never paid me a dime. Damn, they're taking our trade. They took our trade, guys. They stole our trade. All right, I think I'm looking at you. 30 seconds here. If you have USO, I'm gonna probably, if anybody is holding long USOs, trim, true. 575s. They're taking our trade. Sheesh. Fucking bastards. All right, every little bit of empty space right there in that price action has gotten filled. Premiums are holding. I'm in the money, so they're holding pretty well at that 260 area. Trimming off, just like I talked about, but I am going to leave a little bit here on the table just to see what we can muster. Look at that, just that wick down right there. Increase the premiums even more. Now up to 280 on the ask. People are climbing into your contracts right now. Should be easy to sell on those downside moves. Talk to me if you have something that you're watching. I'm just keeping my eyes on the cues. If we real quick, if we are able to clear 275.11, keep an eye over 275.45. That floor must be recovered right there. And that little pause right there gave you ample opportunity to get out of your swings. You should be good to go. If you have any runners, that's up to you, obviously. But look at this floor right here, right at this market, 575.40, and on the pre-market on IWM, man, draw that range right here. If it can reclaim this floor, it's moving to at 245.50, and I like a break over 246 to see continuation up into that gap. You would be recovering. Yeah, you're recovering a box that you punched through overnight, and that's what price kind of rejected off of. So 246 clearing. Um, yeah, still holding those runners. Still holding those runners. Just to see. If we can retest 574 or even get back down to the open, I can trim 2 of those off and keep about 2 more. Like that. Oh boy. Who's a patient boy? I am. Yikes. Hold on, dude. Don't make fun of me. Are you making fun of me, dude? He's making fun of me, guys. Ivy, he's making fun of me. Not. IWM is actually, or excuse me, AMD is already wicked at its pre-market highs. Not having a great time there at the moment, but that is what is required in order to see any sort of continuation to the upside here, up to 208.30 and of course 208.86. It's a little bit of a fishy setup. I'm gonna lie to you. Back to the cues. Somebody say something about Tesla? Yeah, of course you did. All right, floor on Tesla. Yeah, clearly. Damn, look at that level, son. Look at that level, son. Pretty nice retest down there, guys. If you held on to those puts or anything, those shot up to about 300. All right, so let's establish, right? Everybody needs to know this. This is where we go up. This is where price likely goes down. And you are now slap dab in the fucking middle of them. So if you decide to keep twerking inside of an empty strip club, you're not gonna make any money. I was really surprised that that worked out as well as it did when I got to the end of the sentence. That was good. Clip that, Ivy. That was one of my more sophisticated analogies. I don't think she did. No, anybody key from a seance. I've been out here head first. I'm just saying that so that way nobody is trying to make their life change in here when continuation lies above and below. That's all. GLW to the upside. Don't be careful, everybody. What's above and what's below these hourly? I can already see what you wicked off of. If you ever see, like, one of the ways that you can just like find levels and start to see how they work is just look at what price rejects off of. Look, you've got that 139.80 area ish area. Hold on. QQQ's heading back down, diving into the top of that pre-market range. Watch your stocks if you're chasing shit. But 139.75 is obviously that overhead higher time frame level that's keeping you. So you're going to be on the lower time frame. Damn, Q's. Oh shit. All right, there's cost basis. Look at that shit. Look, boy. Oh, that's egg roll. What's up, brother? Does it make any sense to buy $600 Tesla calls for July expiration? Like I just explained, me personally, that wouldn't be even a factor for me until that large 24-hour floor that we just retested and fell from gets recovered. That retest just affirms to me that that is where we can be confident in Tesla likely recovering if we can't find a lower price to buy at. All right, Qs did just come and wick off of the top of that. They aren't promised a complete new low, but they do have a target of 572.34 if price continues to push down here. 5-minute orb on Apple. Downside. Oh, that's the play that I was talking about in pre-market. Yeah, you're almost there. Look at look at it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. That's kind of fucking badass, dude. That I drew it right there. Bloop. Bloop. All right, anyway, moment's over. Moment's over. Acra Legend. No shit. Netflix doesn't give a crap about nothing. You guys, who said that? Who dared me to short this? I heard that. I heard you dare me. Don't challenge me again. I'll do it. Say I won't do it. Ah. Yeah. That's what I need right there. Yeah, I might take some speculative 94s if we drop underneath 95, 95. You could speculate on them now if you wanted, but this shit, bomb down, this shit, everyday shit. No, that's a cheap vacation. He said you won't do it. Say less. No, seriously, say less. Okay, all right, now I'll do it. And look at it bounce right off my level. Shoo. Q's just forcing themselves down. Oh my god, little punchback for the fam. Little bit of runners to the downside. God damn, boy. Listen, that's patience right there. Damn. Um, 88 bucks to 377 bucks per contract. I'm going to go ahead and trim one right now. Ugh. Aye, Captain. Delicious. Now, Netflix. I heard nobody is watching your films. You got rid of The Office. Sheesh. Oh no, Israel. Use new lows here. Well, not new lows, I guess, if you're looking at pre-market, but we just hit that pre-market low candle 50% mark. And as per usual, price bounces at it. And if it gets back outside of the collar, I don't know why I call it that, but over the overhead there at 272, then we're going to bounce right back up. Right. Wick. Price closes in 16 seconds. What are we looking at, everybody? Tesla not looking super strong right now. Told you to just let it happen. I'm letting it happen. I let it happen. I let it happen. IWM has not fallen. Just FYI, throwing it out there, IWM has not. Now, it doesn't have as much empty space, not the same setup, unfortunately, but there is 243 and 242.28 if it lags behind and dumps. What's AMD doing? Oh, shit on a stick. No. All right, there's that candle popping, hitting that floor. Now right here at 573.19, that's where if you hit that real quick and then draw back down, we'll probably build. Oh, yeah, it hasn't dropped. I would obviously look for an entry on that one. I mean, it just give you a nonchalant. Yeah, 244.91. Q's nasty retest up in there. I bet you that's a 45-second or really lower time frame. Yeah, range. Look, between that candle and that candle, and look how price just oscillates in between the two of them. Like just dong dong. AXT. What are you looking at on that one, brother? Down a downside. Wait, AXT. I ain't got that, dude. How do y'all get such cheap contracts? We have great targets, brother. When we can see empty space, that's where targets slap. Even the hedges on AMD ended up really helping a lot. Why 45-minute versus 1 minute? Why 45 second? The faster something moves, this is something that I maybe I don't know many people who I've never talked to any other trader about this, but when the fat if you, the faster you move, right? Then that structure, you're not going to build structure on higher time frames. But you're not always moving fast. Sometimes you're moving slow. And so you build 5 minute clear boxes, or sometimes you build hourly boxes when price is really slow, right? Because if you're building a box on the hourly, then you're probably chopping or you're ping ponging back and forth in between a range. So the faster a stock moves, so like when people ask me like what time frame do I trade, everything is based off of the higher time frame because that takes the longest to build, therefore it gives you the longest or the most reward. When I look at the lower time frame, I'm just looking at how do we see a new low on the cues, right? Obviously, the range that we have over here would have to be sunk underneath, which we're fighting with right now, right? And we would have to break into that low. But I also can see that we dumped really quickly, which means price can bam pop right the fuck back up, um, which would obviously put us on a potential crash course back to the upside. So it's just top down analysis, but gauging off of, well, can you see anything when you go to the 5 minute? Right? Okay, we got a floor or a 15 minute, the 5 minute, we have a floor there. We have a and again, usable, but if I'm trying to again look at like what triggers or if we're moving ripping fast and I'm looking at, well, what are we building below us as we're going to the upside that I know we can retest. Yeah, this whole pocket right here is liable to get retested. So it's not always needed, and it's not the basis of why I'm taking a play. It might be like the 1 minute or the 2 minute or 3 minute that gets me into a trade, but it's the higher time frame is the reason why I'm probably looking at it. So, do you pick strikes within your target, or would you profit regardless if it goes in the right direction? Yeah, so that's actually a great assumption, dude. Yes, I absolutely do look for my targets based on, or I look at the contracts that I select based on the target that I see. So the reason that I took 575s was because of this, right? What floor did you have to recover to get here? That one. So that's likely the floor that you're going to retest. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly 575, 65. Let me be like super duper exact here. 575, 77. Did we already retest that? Okay, so fuck, we already basically damn near retested it. So that would be where price would likely recover, right? And you can actually see that. Like, look at the hourly. I love them. I love this shit, guys. I really do. 575, 77. Because when things make sense, that's when you can trade them. When they don't, you don't. But look at how price is sitting right at that 576, 575, 77 level. That's where price goes up. That's likely what would be retested if we are still bearish. If we're looking at a target down here, right? We're looking at a continuation drop from where we're sitting, then it would be a rejection, right? Or refusal to go back up above 575.64. And you might sit here all day, or for the next 15 minutes trying to do that and then end up spilling over and falling as we near the end of the day. Because they might take away Thursday, right? Because, wait, it is Thursday. Yeah, today's the end of the week. Holy shit. Yeah, so 3 day weekend. They, glorious, yeah. if we're doing the workshop, is there a place in the Discord to post homework? You can look in the actual like chat. I'm not when we get back to class because we're going to do a recap class here shortly. You know, I'll look at some of the homework that you guys have posted, but I'm not always there's a homework tab that you can post it in, or you can put it in class chat. You could probably just send it to me directly. Probably be your best bet. But anyway, does that make sense, right? You know, based on and this is something that is clear, right? It does have empty space. It's clearly volatile. It's not necessarily a punchback, right? But if you have experience with price, then this should, you know, make sense. And not to mention on the 30-minute, you know, again, you can be doing top-down analysis on things right now to make sure that you really have a good handle on things. Like what needs to be recovered or what you've wicked off of and what how that relays. Like, bam, do we have a fucking range now that we've just developed a box where price is going to sit like this? IWM. It's creeping right now. It just hit its pre-market highs at 246.28. I have an overhead target at 246.70 directly up above you. If price is able to recover, anything beyond that would likely lead you to 247.35. Um, however, it looks good right now, but it's still in question. Costco is flying. Oh, yeah. Oh, it opened up on cost basis. Damn, that's actually pretty wild. I think a lot of people, I bet you Costco people are kind of flocking to Costco for bulk shit. Nvidia up. Okay. So again, just look at where the wick is. A lot of the times that's where you're going to see where price is like obviously needs to reclaim, then build structure off of that. So Nvidia wicked up and hit a box that it reclaimed overnight, right? Or that it punched down through overnight. Obviously, our open price, and see, this is where you lose me a little bit because if I can't see, so we'll go ahead and just do this. And then we'll move that down to the 15-minute. Clean that up a little bit more. Okay, so we could make this clearer here. Floor needs to be recovered if NVIDIA is unable to do that, which it did have a nice wick pop out and then did get pulled back down. But if price can close, I would just say A on the floor that you're building right now, which you still have 8 minutes left. Yeah, you need to hang on. Right, basically at 172.50 here, or at worst 172.08. U.S. ambassador to NATO, Whitaker, Trump will decide if U.S. will stay in NATO. Things are a little slow right now. Okay, Q's reversed into that empty space. Little V-shape action there. Again, I'm on the 45 second because I can see clearly. As long as you can make sense of it, it's usable. On the lower time frame, three. Mm-hmm. If you're well, three. Well, three, that's based off of three rejections, right? That means that we've actually lost something. And if that's something that you've seen, then that would be, you're on the 45 seconds. So you could be actually in 1 5 minute candle that's tapping one resistance and building a box, or, um, just in a continuation. So that's understandable, and again, 3 times is usually when something should break, right? And depending on how that rejection goes or how much is lost, that's how we determine whether it is a actual, because just price pulling back isn't necessarily always a rejection, in my opinion. It's what is actually, what did they push you back down underneath? And that's more important to me. All right, cost basis, that old 50% mark just got tapped right there at 575.93. Pretty easy money. Overhead, we have 576. Yes, that is what I'm saying. We need to see a big wick. When you say gap fill, are you referring to the gap in the close and the open, like IWM? Yeah, that would be a gap. Yeah, in this case, yes, price absolutely gapped down. All right, cost basis here. Nice. Now that's what you want to see when you kind of push through cost basis, but obviously we want to hold on to that move. This is again kind of a pre-market box here, so, but that's the kind of movement you also, this candle in particular popped right off of the floor. Now they're going to keep trying to push it below cost basis. This is a 45 second, mind you, so it's going to make it seem a little bit more damning. But so far so good with a move right over 576.50. I typically, when I see an open big ass candle like this, I treat it this exact same way. 577.75, which I believe I said was a level that we should be watching out for. So, but I think USA allows price to go. What do you mean USA? Yeah, price. What do you mean? After a big dump like this, yeah, price should balance itself out. Am I watching Lunar? No. Squeeze in or something? Yeah, it's not really my cup of tea right there. Accident call played out. Nice job, Israel. We stay in range for big end of the day dump. I'm not promising we stay in range for end of the big day. Right now, you are back up above 575, so there is a real potential at trying to keep climbing. That's a pretty big 15-minute candle with 3 minutes left. You're up at the highs inside of that pre-market range, so above this high. So again, moving down into the lower time frames till it makes sense. We need to hold 575.80, and we still have that 574.40 level secured. So price is just doing what it needs to do. I would just watch and wait because this level matters most. I wrote a list of reasons. Who? Ayo. Ayo keeps stealing my music. What are you guys trading? I feel like some bought something impulsively. I don't know. I feel it. Uh-oh. Look at you, bro. I'm fucking proud as fuck of you, bro. Look at you, man. Our our little flower is blossoming. You said what's a what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's up, man? I kind of wish you would have already done that at the break of structures, i.e. here. Like this where we were just at where probably would have been a great place to do that. You don't want to do it as it's already left or it's I mean you can now, but you have a 576.44 retest. And if it goes back down and say hits cost basis or comes back down, hits 575.30, you're not going to be prepared for that. You know what I mean? So I maybe try to catch it on a retest rather than trying to just pop into it now. I want to say yes, I don't want you to miss out on anything, but we gotta if you're looking at getting into a trade, that's why we mark out. That's why I've been narrating this whole thing for you guys. I hope it's helping. But structure, we got to be coming out of structure so that way we can set our stop losses on these levels. Like even if you took the floor grab, right, price bounced right off of it. That's beautiful. We want to see that. I have the imbalance here at 577.81. Not bad. Um, uh, I know this is tasty. I don't know if they give us all of it. Yeah. So I'm looking right here too. If you guys look with me, check this out. Right at my imbalance is a candle close and wick, and that's empty. So I'm thinking that that's all I really see here. Oh, my eye. Might see a retest incoming here. Zebo went short. Go long. I'm kidding. I said, sorry, Zebo. I called BlackRock. Pretty close. That was pretty fucking close. There you go, Zebo. Now you're a hero. You're a liberal hero. I'm just kidding. How do you decide when to sell a call? Expiry is in July? I would assume you're in a long swing. I sell my positions when my target gets hit, egg roll. Always. Point A to point B, trim. If I see continuation, dunk on the rim. I don't know. That didn't work. Elf is red right now. Tesla's still sitting red. The target. Targeting. I don't have anything. So floors right now on the 45-second again. We're moving quick, so I can utilize this. But I got a five. So right there, if you lose that, then this is where again. Actually, I'm going to look at what we broke, which would be here first. Okay, there's price trying to bounce and hold. IWM is kind of moving like fucking pond water right now, if you ask me. Qs have a little bit more juice on them. A little bit. I don't know. That's pretty spot on for me. I mean, what was that? Fucking 5 cents, 6 cents. So the floor right here that we recovered. And if we want to go back up, how do we want to fall, folks? Fast. Real fast. So floor, and then that green candle right there needs to be covered. Ooh, that's not good. So you want to fall fast, right, for continuation. But if you fall, wake up, and then actually fall, you filled that space up, and it's tougher. A lot of the times, yeah, you're looking at potential new structure. We don't have that much info yet, so this is where we refer back to the higher time frame on what needs to hold. And like, yeah, this is where, you would hope that building happens there, but this is a reasonable place to reject. I have to say, let's see, take a step back, right? So I don't see anything there. Okay, so the only thing I see is that same 577 level that's kind of held us down. So just a small, yeah, I mean, just if anything, a retest. Beautiful bounce, though. Good bounce. Nice. Look at that. Now let's see. If you're going to get inputs, your stop loss is 577.01. You're quick. You're ready to sell immediately. I'm on the 45-second right now. So you got to be fucking, you're scalping. You're moving fast. You're looking for a punch through 576.10, which you're trading in the wrong direction right now. I wait for a confirmation. I like for things to be lost. Unless you're speculating on a reversal, then, but that still would give you a reasonable stop loss, I think. Anything over 577.29, you're probably in trouble here. How's SPY moving? Damn, I was just a hair off on that level too. See, I can't. So let me just give you an example. Can you see any? That's not like really a box. And yes, this is not required all the time, but can I go find the box? You're damn right I can. And look what we just bounced off of. So, and why is that important? Because it's these areas or these structures that would basically have to be pushed or flushed through in order for us to see continuation of the downside. But the faster something is moving, right, the more you're going to see things that make sense on lower time frames. And this is again only a navigation tool. Damn, SPY, that was a wicked wick right there. SPY just did that. I don't know if this holds. I mean, let me zoom back out. Gotta be careful. I like to wait for, that's why I like for something underneath me to have been broken. This is actually how I stay in calls, is by doing this lower time frame. Okay, well, if we lose this, we get this. Is this too much? New highs. And if you go back down to that level that I was just talking about, obviously a break of structure is where you'd be looking to take things to the upside. So your stop loss right there would be somebody else's upside entry, which again is saying, I don't want to be obviously get blown out of the water like that. Now that happened fast as fuck. So, all right, now if we step back out, yeah, SPY just hit my level at 650.25. I still see that overhead here. So that's kind of how you set up and hedge. Yeah. So like obviously not on a 30-second, but yeah, you would literally say if you see a target up above you and if your stop loss hits, my stop losses are typically your entries because I want my entry to be on something that is structural and holds price up or holds price down. And if that thing can't do its job, price will go in the opposite direction. And if I can see that setup, then I can hedge in that direction. Again, the cards don't always line up, and I think sometimes people expect it to be like a blueprint and everything's always good. No, it's not how it works. Like sometimes the contracts are just going to be too expensive to hedge and you either have to put your risk, or have the expiration that you need. Um, or with something last night, you look at a hedge on the ETF that correlates with your stock. When to enter, I get in and it goes the other way, then that probably means that you're moving or trying to chase candles, man, rather than kind of uh, taking actual, breaks of structure. I guess, I can't assume anything about you. I don't know what you're doing, but usually if that's the case, this is when people get the idea that institutions are watching them, or that they're like, literally people start to think that somebody is watching them because they get into a trade, but it's just so predictable that you're going to buy when that green candle launches itself, or even if it's just doesn't have, it's not moving at all, and it's in a box, well, you just bought something that's encased in, powerful bright. So a little Trumpy tweet, dude. The war's over. We're going to 590. No more bombs in Iran. Instead, I ran into the Allies' arms. I'm just kidding. Uh, why is yeah? It definitely has the feel. Definitely has the feel. I, mhm. This is working out quite well, I have to say. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The wick. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was looking at this box over. I usually, again, when you have empty space like this, I'll look at stuff like that. Like you're actually, I didn't, yeah, you're stuck at the median here, but I would expect that to be the next area of turbulence, I guess, if you will. Because again, this is all empty space. So the skeleton of this structure is still something that we're feeding off of. There's still orders there, I guess, if you will. And that's where, yes, I would be looking for more upside. What are we doing? Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh, you know, yeah, yeah. Dude, I struggle trying to lose money. Like when that's happened to me, yeah, I try to figure out like how to, yeah. I don't really know. Some people will like fill on the market fill and then market sell, market fill, because like you'll get bad fills and then eventually bleed it down. But that's a lot. Alejandro, damn man. No, I we did this. I think it was in the last workshop, but like I ended up, yeah, having to try to lose money and struggling to do that because you have to hit like a certain profit consistency target with these like prop firms, um, which kind of like limits you. Yeah, I told you guys IWM was moving like pond water, but if you notice, what is different about IWM? right? If you look at IWM, yes, it still has that but it is inside of something way different. Not a big V shape like we see on this on SPY, even though there's a V right there, but there's more V's here. So you look at IWM on the 24-hour, and you got all of these price points here and here and here. And so you look at a QQQ, right? And you got a little bit more room to to run. Potter, I just made money off PL. Was in a trade for 5 minutes and doubled my single contract. Nice job, Nate. No, he's not trying to lose money on options. It's on futures. Yeah. Yeah, see, I have a real issue with taking a trade and then looking away. Like on the future shit, and I have to like remember to set a stop loss. Yeah, because it's the contracts fluctuate so much. We're slowing down here a little bit, guys, on that overhead target that I mapped out at 578.67. But again, moving down to the lower time frame, it does kind of look like we're possibly building something, but there's a little bit of retest action. Uh, he said it wants to pop. It wants it. Oh yeah, 578.7. He said, "Please pop." You'll see a retest. I think if you pull back at any point here, you'll see a retest at 576.89, possibly. Excuse me. Say what? Oh, quit using AI, man. Yeah, if you guys, ooh, oh, now what the fuck, trimming? That fucking worked. God damn. What the fuck? Yeah, you couldn't get all of that money. Yo, what did you just wick off of? Did someone just take the biggest short of all time? Baron just shorted the market. SPY is starting to wick down. It hasn't broken anything but 649.66, and candle closing for 646.46, and we can see continuation of the downside. Yo, she said it liked the spit. That's fucking gross. You guys are gross. All right. So listen, this is where people will get like all spooked out. Listen, it didn't lose anything yet. So be quick on your feet. Box. Yeah. I'm in a put. Am I cooked? Fried egg. Why are you in a put? Why are we going short when the market's going up? Why are we going short when the market has already fallen overnight a shit ton? We're doing good. Building. Look at that 578.78. And we're at the open. Open price tapped. We need to clear it. 578.50 or 579.50 should be that next overhead level if we get the candle close here. Buy companies, not stocks. Oh, it's KNBR. Brother, if you just saw the shit that we just did, you can pipe the fuck down. Eddie, you know what? I'm going to make you watch me. I'm going to turn you into. Uh, Never mind. Now I muted you. Now all you can do is watch. Now you just need to sit in the corner and watch. Well, you. So what did I say? I don't know. 25 minutes ago, right? It was these two. Right, I think we had shot up in here and we were kind of sitting in there. And I said, basically, it's between, we had this punch back down to that low. And then it was also this that was likely going to give you a new high. So by breaking down, punching down, retesting, reclaiming the floor, and popping back outside of the level that seller sucked you in with empty space above you, you had a high likelihood of potentially reversing. That gave us the floor. Oops, shit. That gave us the floor, which then gave us that pre-market 50% mark, which promises us a new high. That then wicked up to the 50% mark, like we talked about as well. Came back, retested our structure, and has continued to build in the right direction. So, can you narrate your analysis as if you're Voss? I don't really know that guy. I can't even listen to him. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's just got that kind of like nails on chalkboard voice, and plus he just yeah. Damn. On what? Oh, the wick? Every I yeah. It doesn't necessarily invalidate, no, because it's still if you think about what actually happened there, that's like pure that's just empty space. Now, that kind of wick is not common. We don't see that very often. So my thing is typically like you're still dealing with the exact same levels, right? Let's see here. So it looks like you had a wick right here on the 3 minute. That's exactly what price just wicked off of, because so we could assume from here to here is so 580 would be the next retest target, as long as right on this lower time frame we continue to build and hold, and we're doing just that. Look, we did that, this, that. So it's getting a little, obviously gets a little spooky here. Um, but let's say even the 45. What the fuck? 45 second. What are we listening to right now? Get this off of my there. Yeah, so just keep building your structure. It looks like we got a nice little range right there. So this isn't a standard box, but you could just assume that price was going to come back to retest 578.35 if it loses that floor there. 578.85, sorry. Yes, you got yeah. Damn. Damn, I missed Andy. That's all right. Cues. What's up, dude? Good morning. Levels were perfect this morning. Nice job. Yeah, if you guys have any gains, post them in the gains page. Dust that thing off. AMD about to, yeah, Caesar. I hope you guys were able to catch that. A little preoccupied. Preoccupado. These are actually some of my favorite days when price gaps down. We catch the, I know not everybody, I'm speaking for myself, but I catch the downside overnight, and then we catch the upside on the open. Do I get tired of winning? No, I do not. There's your floor right there on the 45 second. So that's where you want to see again. This is something you need to think about on, not every candlestick, but like if you're getting to a floor, right? It is always the goal of this candle to flip green and push through something. And literally literally an auction, right? Do you accept this price? Do you accept this price? Do you want, like, are buyers going to step up? If they don't, then you got to go. You have to lower the price. If you make bread, you just made some bougie ass cheddar jalapeno sourdough bread. And if you can't get people to buy here, you're going to lower the price. She added, MSG. People wanted to buy. You gonna buy the Balenciaga Dollar General bag? Dude, that's dystopian as fuck, my guy. Or sorry, Joy. All right, so you couldn't get the price up. Oh man, the system. So green candle there. Again, the auction starts again. Nobody wants to buy here. You're gonna start moving down to that structure that's underneath you. Now, the faster you fall, the better. Unless you start breaking shit. All right, nobody wants your bread. Yep. Okay, this is where people did buy your bread. They loved it. So those people see the price drop back down and they're like, oh shit, bread's on sale. You see volume step up, but is it enough people to get price to move back up and start grabbing the shit that it lost? Is my bread helping? Yeah, 2-for-1 bread. Right now, now this is when you need to take your shirt off in front of the bakery. You got to get it up there. Oh, brother, a piece of bread fell in the dishwasher and I'm stuck. No, I was kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. All right. All right. Oh, oh my God. All right. So your shirt off, that actually scared away customers and the price is dropping. No, I was kidding. On- Yo, Neptush. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, I got Instagram. All right, there's my level, right? That's kind of where you pushed off of. That's where that candle was empty. So this is where a lot of that volume is, right? Okay, there it is. So you dumped pretty quickly. So again, now the fire sale's back on. Bam. Okay, cool. They're in. Here, you guys in? A little iffy. We really want these guys to buy the bread. Will it drop more? Well, if your bread doesn't sell up here, yes, it's going to drop more. You already filled up your empty space and you're filling up all the empty space as you go. So if you start breaking down into structure that you built to move up, then yes, price can and will move down and more than likely into this next pocket of empty space with a couple pit stops. Again, you're on the 45 second. So any 45-second box is only going to give you a 45-second low. If this was a 24-hour box and you took this short right here, you would be aiming for the wicks. And then 577, especially if the wicks are off the same price mark. Hey man, I was following so many potters I had to block all. Just found you again. God dang, man. Yeah, by the way, anybody, please, if you are watching, I will not fucking DM you. They are going to try to scam you. Please do. I will not DM you. Just trust that. Okay? Always trust that. It's not because I don't care. It's just because I don't do that. I just don't. I hardly text people. I hardly get on my phone. Okay? So don't buy the hype. If I wanted to ask people to study, can I do it for in the free Discord or the workshop? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, guys, I will not DM you. Please, please do not get scammed. Please. Wait, who's been sending me these feet pics? Uh, yeah. I got people who fill in for me, you know. Stop turning my music off, son. All right. So what's happening to your bread right now? Now you are building, right? You're putting some volume. You now you can see that people are all right with buying with 578, but it's not enough right now. We don't have enough people, right? So we're probably going to try to lower the price again and see if we can find someone else down below. Now, this is not a quintessential box, okay? It's got barely one off the floor. It's weird, but it is beautiful structure, so I'm going to use it just the same. So essentially underneath this 50% mark, right? Which price is now okay, right? Moving, trying to move back up off of it. And every time you do that, you pull the volume off, right? You sell bread to these people, and once you sell bread to them and the price goes up because of it, you don't have, that's typically it, right? You don't have a ton of chances to keep selling it to them at that price. Sorry, I'm using bread as an example, but whatever, whatever it takes to make sense is the yeast I can do. I'm sorry. 45-second looks good. I was kidding. You just had a punch back. 24-hour. No shit. Is it finally going? God, and there's just the only thing that sucks on this is just the lack of empty space. Hold on a second. All right, looks like the queues are building back up a little bit. Buyers are back into are a little bit more enthusiastic here. All right. Anyway, stop. What the fuck? Hold on a second. All right. So the first green candle to my left that I can see, obviously you're sitting on the same wick and body. You already touched that before. So this would be really the next target overhead at 276. I usually rely on that always. See how that translates. Okay, so I'll split this range dead slap in half, and as per usual, that lines up. So 276.92 would be the first target, and then at that point, you could probably say the floor has been reclaimed and start aiming for 280. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it didn't look bad. Obviously, if it can, there's something up there for the longer calls, but yeah, there's a lot of empty space up there for the longer calls. All right, looks like the spy is trying to pop up here, so does volume play a factor into that? Yeah. All right, watch out. New highs on SPY. Qs might be following in suit. And again, all of this narration that I'm doing is to help me stay in my trade, right? What has to happen in order for us to go lower? And we can touch those things, but we can't break them. Okay. Decided to just take a shortcut and put narcotics inside of your bread. It worked though. All right, that's the 580. You just tapped it perfectly. 580.05. I believe that was at it. Where did I get that from? Yeah, I think it was the floor over here to your left. 5 minute. That's a psychological number, so. And even though this is not like a super legit thing, I'm still gonna, bam, 50% right there. Fucking money. Tapped right off of it. Hey, make sure to drop a follow if you're new here. Learn the PBS strategy. These levels, there's levels to it, you know? I think that's what those guys mean up top. There's levels to this shit. Literally. Price levels. Ugh. I don't like that we're not building, but we ride. Anybody in anything? Anybody trading anything? I hope. Bro, 3K on QQQ. Wait, you didn't. You got nervous? Damn. Sheesh. Jesus Christ, my baby. Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Damn, that was meta as fuck. That was meta as shit. Trim, if you got any QQQ, this is a great trim mark right here. As we move into strength, they're selling like hotcakes. Everybody wants them. Uh, 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 wee wee. That was a fucking rip. Uh-huh. Fuck, let's fucking go, dude. Holy shit, my boy. God damn, boy, god damn. I could do that. All right. All right, chill out, chill out, chill out, chill out, chill out. Chill, reel it in, reel it in. I'm so fucking amped right now. Come here, Rogue. I need to pet something. I'm overstimulated. Come here, kitty, kitty. All right, I do see empty space. We just hit 586. I told you guys that was second level after that 24-hour gap fill. God dog, boy. All right, let's see what else we get here. And do we got news on top of it? How we doing? How we doing? Oh, damn, son. God damn. Oh my God. Sorry. Having a time. What? Where did it? I'm trying to figure out what the if that was fueled off of just empty space, or did they have a Iran drafting protocol with Oman? Or Trump will soon cite an order to pay all of the incredible employees. Okay, at the Homeland Security, President has informed Bondi her time as AG is nearing an end. U.S. is not engaged in any discussion to release any additional crude oil from strategic stockpiles. I don't really see anything there, so that just fire shit right there, baby. $800 on a single contract. Bless you, Potter. Together we shall eat. So, just to review, by the way, this morning, if you go watch this back on YouTube, right, where we basically marked out these two areas, and we did have this box right here. This candle, and again, guys, what did we establish by gapping down that much that we had already maxed out, right? For the most part, the amount of downside that we could see. With empty space back up above us, that was your trigger, a trigger, right? We also had the area of consolidation here that price was able to reclaim and fill on the second go round. So these are areas, right? And yeah, literal short squeeze. Essentially, you gap shit down overnight. You drive price down at the bell, and look at how aggressive that was. But we have that structure down below us. Price bounces, recovers, right? So entry, 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 or retest entry, right? Those are the places that you could set up to obviously hold these contracts all the way up. Who spit in their mouth? I think it was Chad. I think Chad did it. Bro, I love you. I love you too, gang. Gang, gang. Doesn't feel right. %1,000%. I'm so glad I found Potter so early in learning this. Jana, hell yeah. Now, I want to remind everybody, okay? We might have to switch gears. And if you just made a bag, okay, if you just made a bag, pull money out. All right, it's Thursday. Pull money out, reset, do whatever, pay yourself. This is why you're here. What's my YouTube? PotterStocksTrading.com, my boy. No. No way, dude. The sweater. The best time to wear a Potter Stock sweater is all the time. Ooh. We need to turn you to Mega Mitch instead of Big Mitch. Whew. Yes, we caught the move down and up. We caught the move down and up. I spent most of the morning in between these two boxes that we talked about. When we were in here, just narrating. Floor gets recovered. Empty space inside of that box gets filled for the second time, which I thought that was pretty interesting. And that right there, that candle alone recovers the floor and clears the wick. All right, I'm done. I'm done for the day. That's money, dude. And hold on. I know you guys, some of you guys are celebrating, some of you guys are happy. If you missed it, remember these conditions. This is not, again, something that we're unable to do the next time. If you went the wrong direction and didn't stop out, you need to reflect. Obviously, you get so we don't, if you are in the Discord especially, and you found yourself fumbling the bag, write these things down. All right. You cannot, what one thing that we humans like to do is try to get away from the things that we do wrong, right? Or sometimes we avoid accountability. But if you can write that down, right? Be real with yourself. Like, damn, I was just too scared. Like, straight up, just too scared. Why was I scared? And start at, like, that's what therapists do. Therapists just get you to talk and start narrating shit because you already know most of the time. Going all in calls now. Damn, Lucky Charms. It's pretty ballsy. Yeah, band. Yeah. Ooh, that's my two band boy. Oh man, Alex, I hope your dad gets better, man. I really do, man. Tell your dad I said hello. Yeah, two stacks. Two stacks of Gillette. Wait, why does it say negative, dude? Hold on. Oh, got you. Okay. Oh, you wait, you let's see. Oh shit, dude. Nice job, man. Netflix new high 97. I actually swung a few AMD calls that I had left from yesterday. And I was a little worried this morning. Not that it was like, they were just runners. It was literally just a hedge. Uh, but yeah, this thing actually, those are right back up. I thought we had continuation to the downside or forming a higher low for the upside. I think it's really important to remember, folks, that U.S. Treasury yield extends fall, 10-year yield down to 2.8 basis points. Okay. Hormuz Strait Protocol not to constitute restrictions. Thoughts on taking AMD puts on the 1 minute at 10:17. I'm sort of questioning my entry. I would assume, Jazz, and thank you for the freaking roses, dude. Um, yeah. So I don't know if that's a great idea right now, my boy. And I don't really have any greater insight here, so you're going to have to be down on lower time frames. And I actually could see this thing definitely pulling back. But one of the first rules, right, is you want to have price be pulled back underneath something, right? Something that it tried to break but couldn't and then did. That's what you want to first get. And that's 212.50 right here, 212.56. But you'd also have to lose so if you'll notice, that's all empty. And you have two wicks at 211.96. That is where you would want price to break down below. And I think at that point, you could actually look at price returning back down, probably 209.68. But as long as you're above this, that's a no go. He's getting better. Let's go, man. I have trouble following what you're saying. So this is why it's worth it to either take the workshop or stay in the live streams. Obviously, streamlined is the workshop, but in order to understand, like there are days like this where I can narrate price action, everything is good. We've got volume. I can narrate this and I'm narrating it for me as well. Like I talk even if you guys weren't here, I'd still be fucking talking. And so you can utilize all of the, you can ask me, like, so would this make a good entry? Or would this floor, like Golfman said that, we would have to break something above or below in order to get into that trade. Like, where is the entry from here? At that point, we were in empty space. So it was like, kind of need to have some structure to build off of, or you need to build structure and then punch through it. And that's why we use those lower time frames. So I'm still confused on why it skyrocketed like that. I don't think that it's necessarily for any other reason than you trapped buyers, but also you trapped sellers this morning. You gapped down, you gave sell. This is just a bait and switch short squeeze type setup. Um, I think at this point you just basically, yeah, that this is an exit out of a short position, in my opinion. Plus a gap fill, right? Gaps suck price in. And when you've recovered 20, so again, your 24-hour levels are there as like safeguards. So when you recover 575 at that point, if you're building there or you have, something to break, which we did, right? We had that. We established this morning that 575 across the board was essentially where price would likely continue, and that's where that gap fill would be more likely. But by moving down, it's like a bait and switch, right? You give them just a taste of what they want at the bell, right? But at the end of the day, you got to break something. Like, and I'm not shorting after a day uh, uh like an overnight move or after a overnight move like we just had. Sorry, got 600% on Microsoft. Nice job. You said I made it clear. Right. I mean, I thought that's one of the, again, if you want to go back, folks, those of you who were not here or confused on what happened, I drew these two, right? When we popped out and filled that empty space, I said this is where, I have no business in anything in here because this is the signal up, right? And this is the signal. Now, I did say that there would be a breakdown to that low, but at that point you would it's just not smart to go short off of something like that, um unless you're scalping. But at that point, price right here, folks, these candles right there, those wicks, nice pullback on the cues here, starting to move down underneath 581.99. Careful chasing. Make sure you have structure or some stop loss here. Yeah, you bounce right back up. Pull yourself back up on 581.96. But even this right here, right? That overhead high or that red candle, those were early entries. At that point, right? I mean, price moved up pretty fast, but with that floor being recovered, you had an opportunity off of that retest to know that price was, and we were, again, you can go look back at me narrating it live. Price needs to obviously clear the 50% mark, overhead, hold the, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm watching cues on the other side a lot of the time. And that can be true to the upside too. If you have too much of a big move to the upside, it's really, really tough to. And that's where the whole concept of swing trading is like you are capturing a whole day's move overnight. Now, obviously, we can V shape and we did, but yep, overall structure, upside market open. We had internal downtrend pullback. R2R for calls better. Yeah, risk to reward on the call side was better. All right. Now, if you want to fuck around with the cues or something like that, I'm hopping off the teat. I'm good to go. Um, there's speculative 578.82 empty space, at least filling up some of that very quick price action. But you're literally looking at having to, this is where you step back, right? What did you try to recover, right? So your fingers have slipped off of the ledge that you have grabbed onto, right? And so you got to start looking at what you also recovered. It looks like it's that five. Okay. So that makes it relatively clear. You're trying to hang on to that 50% mark as we speak. And on the 1 minute, you actually have a pretty sweet little channel here that's developing where a little flag. Um, I don't see it that way. I see this punch back, new high, or retest in here, and then that candle fails and you flip and you go slap 580.20. What song? Okay, let's take a look at it. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at some stocks for you guys. If you have anything you want me to take a look at, um, so let's do that. Oh, 4 hour. Okay. I mean, not a significant cover, ground coverage, but you were able to pull yourself off of that structure underneath you. This is positive. So I think just looking at, again, what you struggled with before, that looks like 297. And I think that's the same. You know what? No, it's definitely got the major. So that's where priority goes to points of contact. So 297 should lead you up to 320, and that's where you can start looking at price possibly moving up in that direction. So mm, that's not bad, dude. Yeah, that's not bad at all. And that you obviously have we I think we talked about this before with the, it does fluctuate in price pretty decently. So with the empty space up above you, it doesn't seem like an unreasonable. And then I think even today's low, bro. So excuse me, sorry to bro you, but I think today's low really reestablishes where price needs to stay above. So, bro, did you see the IWM pump? Did I see the IWM pump? Of course. IWM, QQQ. I was focused on the Qs. So ASTS is at the 50% mark today of its candle. Now, this would mean that that's a fucking kind of a crazy setup because you're internally inside of a massive range, but that box would send you up to 104. So I don't see that as an unreasonable thing to look for by the end of the day. Yeah, fuck yeah. That looks good. Hold what you got. The name of that song was "I Didn't Know" by Skin Shape. It's kind of a weird name. No shit, this fucker hasn't. Uh, are you short on it right now, my guy? I was gonna say I might long. It is divergent from the overhead market. In that sense, you are looking, and you're under tight control right now. I mean, super super tight consolidation and trend. So I mean, if the ETFs continue moving to the upside, then I would honestly, I think Tesla's lost enough. Let's look at the 24-hour. What'd you tap? The top of the 24-hour can? Uh-huh. And this is a Potter box play for you? Okay, so I do see a punch down here, right? Or a box or a range rather that I will. Yeah, just a second. I'll answer your guys' questions on TikTok in a second. So you do have a range over here, and you are bouncing off of that 50% mark. And we can obviously see that each one of these candles have had the volume scraped out of them without being able to really recover anything. That being said, that just establishes that low as the place to look for. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I'm kind of thinking about taking a long on this one since it's lagging against the market. Uh, not that. I don't think. The reason the market went up is because Iran is drafting to open straits. That was announced I think like 10 minutes before the. Let me see. Yeah, but it's very convenient that it happens in a gap, right? If I didn't know the fucking news, then it wouldn't matter. There you go. Dude, I don't know why, but Alex just has that look about him, man. Doesn't he? He just has that look. Like, I don't know. He just looks like he's doing some bad shit. You know what I mean? Him? Who? Who are you talking about? Oh, yeah, yeah. He's in here. Yeah, he's rebranded, dude. Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. You sound like you'll do it. What's up, bro? Got my favorite robe. Yeah. Is my video going viral right now? Why do I have so many comments? No, it's not going viral. But damn. Damn, that's a shit ton of comments though. All right. Now, again, I said I'm done. I'm not dealing with this up and down bullshit or choppy price action. There are pockets of empty space on the queues, but you better have your wits about you. This better be what you do. Because I don't think they're going to give it unless you are on point. It looks like you're sitting at that floor again. But you do got empty space in here, so there's a good chance that that might be able to get filled up if we're not able to build. It's the Keith Haring robe. It is that. It is that. Why did most of the educational playlists disappear? I'm redoing those videos. All right. Well, I am again not going to be greedy. I've got a bag, so I'm going to take my bag and I'm going to make myself useful. I got to go finish the I'm working on that pre-recorded workshop right now, so you said depressed? No. The stop loss one. Oh yeah, but no, I'm doing a pre-recorded workshop. Just send what to your friend? Oh, got you. For a friend? No, no. Fidelity's like that, man. I feel like. What did you say? Where'd the chat go? All right. I don't really know where the fuck that just went. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I just want to give you a shout out. If you could look at Boyle, I went 29 days, $16 strike. Yeah, I could look at it real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. But you guys are, again, welcome to um actually really quickly, if you guys that donation link for Ivy and Alex's father, you still have that opportunity to get a week trial inside of the Discord if you donate any said amount of cash above $5. Just send the screenshot to Ivy and Alex. But otherwise, I'll see you guys at 2:30. Uh, I just like Fidelity this day, but yeah. The donation link is in the free Discord. Yeah, the donation link. I'm done, Mikey. I'm gonna go hang out in the Discord for a little longer. What do you? I got space calls. Yeah, but I got space calls because am I planning on playing it? I mean, I might play it. When is that happening? Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. It's a voluntary system. Yeah. Post any gains you guys have from today. But what else did I put that? Okay. All right, guys. You guys have a good afternoon. TikTok, YouTube. I'll see you guys at 2:30. Discord link is on my website. Oh, you're out? Oh, hell yeah, man. Peace out. Right. Well, that was pretty fun. Olin.